The CESNAV app is a combination of the old citation performance calculator, citation loading calculator, and electronic operating manual. If you've seen those before, this is just those rolled up into one. The individual iPad apps that I just mentioned no longer exist in the iPad world. The Windows versions of CPCalc, CLCalc, and EOM are still supported. I have downloaded the CESNAV app from the Apple Store, and I've updated all the data, which is based on my CESNAV subscription. So I have pretty much every model that there is. And more about how that gets set up in a minute. My favorite airplane is the CJ3, so let's take a CJ3. To use the app, I find my airplane, I highlight it, and then I click Select Aircraft. Notice at the top there are buttons for, oops, got to select a configuration. So at the top I've got buttons for loading, planning, takeoff, and landing. These pages do the same things that the old apps did. Operators can use any pages they want in any order they want. I actually like to start on the planning page to get a quick fuel burn estimate. So first I'm going to enter an origin, and I click search on the keypad, which is a small thing but it's important. And it recognized Eisenhower Airport. I'm going to go to Memphis today, and it recognizes Memphis. So now I'll scroll down, just take a glance at the map. That looks right. And I go down to conditions. For takeoff weight, most of the time I just leave max gross takeoff in the weight box. I put in whatever I want for taxi and reserves. I'm going to say 150, and CJ3 reserves, let's say 900 pounds. And I'm going to leave total fuel blank. I have to manually enter the temperature and wind for the trip, which is something that we hope to automate in the future. It's cold, let's just say -5, and 11 knots, and it's a tailwind. I'm going to leave anti-ice off and get rid of the keyboard. I never mess with the climb settings very much. On the cruise, I'm just going to leave max cruise thrust, and for this short a trip, 450 is way too high, so let's just say we're going east 33,000. There's really not much else that I need to change, so I'm going to hit go to results. And the mission fuel number of 1,309 pounds is really what I want. Notice at the top of the page, I am now in the results tab, and another set of buttons has appeared. More about that in a minute. Now that I know my fuel burn, I'll go to the loading page, and notice that my departure and destination are auto-filled from the page I have already completed. They talk to each other. All we have to do here is enter occupants' weights, and this is a sample mission that engineering builds, so I'm just going to get rid of that real quick by, in the where it says sample loading, that's your mission name. If I click the X, it wipes everything out, and now I've got a clean sheet. That's not important, but it's useful. I am not single pilot qualified. I am PIC, so we'll have a co-pilot. And let's put Seth in seat 5. No, let's not make it 250. Let's make it 210.
No, you're so generous.
For Seth,
Thank you.
For Seth. And this is the occupants page. If I click stores weight here, now I've got my cargo. So let's just say 100 pounds in the nose, and I've got some charts, 5 pounds of charts, refreshment, slimline cabinet. In the bottom right corner it says 35 pounds is my max. Let's say 20 pounds. And I'm going to say that I'm done. Right above where I'm entering these weights, notice that you've got a usable fuel and zero fuel weight numbers, and those numbers change as I load the airplane. If usable fuel drops to 0, it's because I've loaded the airplane out of CG limits. If you're out of CG, the calculator will not let you enter fuel. We scroll down a bit more to actually enter our fuel values, and I should be able to click Autofill. That button's been a little bit glitchy, and if you have questions about that, ask me later. Autofill Reserve, I had 900 to begin with, so that's good. And autofill mission, my 1,309 comes in. Reserve fuel is the fuel that we intend to have when we land. Mission fuel is what we burn while in flight. If we're going to have extra reserve at landing, the easy way to do that is to click Max Reserve. And right now it's going to add fuel until I hit 4,710 pounds. But what if I've only got 3,500 pounds on board the airplane sitting outside right now? So I will tell it to stop at 3,500, and it increased my reserve fuel to do that. That's a pretty realistic way to calculate the fuel planning for weight and balance. At the bottom, we see the CG plot for our flight, showing takeoff weight at the top of the line, landing weight halfway down, zero fuel weight at the bottom. Zero fuel weight is the empty weight of the airplane plus passengers plus cargo. I'm going to lock this in by clicking Go to Results, and again, my results menu appears at the top. Now let's calculate takeoff. Why isn't my airport there? Well, glitch number 1, but I'll just type it in. Leaving KICT, I'm going to select a runway. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go off script here a little bit. Now that we've got this automated feature for METAR, I can go and look at what the METAR is in Wichita right now. Okay, sometimes it takes 2 tries. I've actually seen that before. So the wind direction is 336 at 9. I'm going to use that, and that definitely means I'm taking off north. So from the service center, I would take 1 right. And then all I have to do is select wet or dry, and now my runway information is in there, and I already did my ATIS information. Obstacles. In the obstacles section, if I keep the none selection, I'll still get certain climb guarantees because of certification rules. If I select min gradient, I can enter a departure procedure climb requirement, such as 300 feet per minute if it's IFR, up to 4,600, safe altitude Wichita, and that gradient will be included. Be aware, though, that the takeoff calculation uses single engine performance to meet the climb requirements in this section. Part 91 operators have the option of leaving. Actually, before I go away from that, I just want to show you this climb profile button. This is what it will be included because of what I just entered. There's a climb gradient surface on the right. The calculator calculates the net takeoff flight path and keeps the 2 lines separate. That's basically what this does. But I'm going to go back to none for just actually I'm going to leave none. And in the top right corner, I'm going to click Tools. This is where a variety of climb, cruise, and descent calculators can be found. The TERPS climb calculator does use 2 engine thrust. That's it right there. So if I just need to meet a departure procedure, I would tend to use this one. The only thing is that if I'm taking off into hardball IFR weather, I would want to know what plan B is going to be if I lose an engine. Okay, so back to takeoff. I'm leaving none. And now all I have to do is click loading, and it pulls my calculated weight from the weight and balance solution that we just calculated. Alternately, I could have clicked max takeoff weight and it'll throw that in, but I'm going to go with my accurate weight here. We'll go flaps 15 and anti-ice off, and then hit go to results, and I'll see a review page, and I hit calculate. If we see these 3 results pages, then we have a valid solution. Field performance, climb performance, return to base numbers. If the takeoff will not work due to either runway length or climb requirements, CESNAV will display a message like that. Runway limited, warning, weight reduced to 9,463. I took this shot a minute ago so I wouldn't have to monkey around with inputs. It will tell you that you can't do it as you want to do it, and it will offer a weight that will work. And the other way it'll say is climb limited. In this case, I did a runway limit. And that's basically how you do takeoff. So let's take a quick look at landing, which is very similar to takeoff. It's actually shorter. I'm somewhat miffed that I'm not getting my autofill airports here, but that's all right. Okay, so choose a runway, and I'm just going to go with 1/8 center, and I'm going to say dry. And again, I can get automated METAR information. I say that. Thank you. And I'm going to use my calculated landing weight. Flaps land, anti-ice off. Oops, off. Review page, calculate. Now I'm done with landing. I've got my my 101 VREF, field length required 2,595, available runway 11,000, so I'm looking good. Let me show you the share function. In the top right corner, I can share either just the page I'm working on right now, the landing performance, or all of the pages that I've calculated. When I click share, I get the standard iPad sharing options. I'm going to select Adobe Acrobat so that you can see the results document. Okay, there's my weight and balance. There's my takeoff page, page and a half. There's my landing performance. There's my en route performance. And as you saw a second ago, I can share this in a variety of ways. I can save it using this app. I can email it. You get the idea. It's the standard sharing protocol for an iPad. So that's a brief look at what the CESNAV app does. Now let's talk about how to install it and set it up. Photos, bear with me for just a second. The CESNAV app is downloaded from the App Store just like any other app. After installation, when it's first open, the operator sees this and then get started, the login screen. The tricky part of this is that the email and password come from our new website, mytextav.com or www.textav.com. That email address on our new website must be linked to the operator's previous username from our old textavsupport.com website, which must be attached to a CESNAV subscription in order for this to work. Please call our Technical Manual Distribution Center if you have questions about that, and I'm just going to show you really quick. If I go back to the CESNAV app, on the options page, right down at the bottom is the TechPub's telephone number. Back to photos. So, the international phone number that you saw there was actually the one I use the most often. Technical Manual Distribution Center, aka TechPubs, TMDC, can be reached at 316-517-6215. They handle subscription questions, and there's a lot of overlap. We help each other out. So once I enter my credentials, the iPad shakes hands with Textron's computers, and then the loading files are retrieved. Check. And then the told files take off and landing. Check. And then when the third line there, the planning files for en route performance completes, you're pretty much ready to roll. But back to the live app. I'm going out to the main page, and I'm going to highlight my airplane again, but instead of clicking Select Aircraft to get into the calculator pages, I'm going to click Options in the upper right corner. I just want to touch on the 4 buttons and the settings page. Clicking the Update Airport Database and Performance button is essentially like the Update button in the old Performance Calculator and Electronic Operating Manual. In order to keep current airport data and waypoint data, this update must be run once each month. That's this one. But I'm not going to do it right now. Update loading files will install revised weight and balance databases when necessary for existing aircraft. Change accounts will basically delete all data and reload everything. So if I'm adding a new aircraft, this is the button to choose. Or if I have some major flaw going on and I just want to clear everything out and reload, that's the button to use. The View Subscriptions button does just that. It will tell you whether or not you have a subscription, and it will give you the expiration date. Just for CESNAV, that is. If we click the Files button, we can delete unwanted files or reload individual files. The Settings button at the top center of the Options page will give access to all of the settings for all of the calculator pages. The most important settings are the empty weight and moment that you see here. It is the user's responsibility to ensure that these numbers match Section 6 of the AFM. We do try to keep up the best we can. To be honest, we fall behind on that a bit. We made this changeable by the user on purpose so that they could change it as necessary. I'll just slowly scroll down to show you what's here. Hectopascals for the altimeter, defaults for planning, defaults for weight and balance. Where's my default taxi? Planning, direct operating cost, default planning, yeah. You get the idea. The gear down drag switch, right there, is what we use to flight plan a gear down ferry trip. That concludes my briefing.